while we're sharing this, and then we'll bring it in live, and we'll be off to the races.
Thank you.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Persons under 18 will not be admitted.
I'm choosing to ignore the cuts and bumps and bruises. I'm cruising through these haters, leave them looking stupid. They foolish if they think they'll ever hear my conclusion. I'm through with all these part-timers and their excuses. I'm bruising eagles left and right every time I do this. I'm shooting for the top, no I'll never settle what you did. The future's in my hands, my grip will never lose it. My crew is ready to obtain the absolution, removing any doubt that we were ever fooling.
What's happening, everybody? Oh, look at that. I hit the wrong button. We're all here now.
We're all here.
Okay. Welcome to another episode of Still Toking With. With me, as always, is Mr. Jeffrey Mark.
Good evening, everybody. I am all aglow in red tonight. I'm looking forward to this a lot. Our interview and the subjects are very close to my own heart.
This is a great show. We've had one of these guests on in season 4, and we talked about what we're going to talk about tonight. But we were blessed to actually have somebody that actually went through his program with us tonight to tell their story as well. And it's just, yeah, this is something that is it just needs to be told. I mean, it's just that simple. I get speechless with stuff like this. Sorry. Jeffrey or Jeff.
Jeffrey.
This is going to be interesting with all the Jeffs we got on screen.
Yeah, I'm going to go. It's going to be Mr. Mark, Jeffrey, and Jeff. That's all I'm going to have to do this tonight.
Okay. I answer to anything.
Hey, you that thinks he's got a boat.
Yeah, well, I've been looking around. I can't afford any of these things. Are you kidding me? So, yeah, virtual boat works, right?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
You
Sure.
know, happy Wednesday. It was sunny out for a sail. Hopefully it don't sink.
Only Lamborghini boats sink.
Only Lamborghini boats sink. Yes. Yes.
So, real quick, I mean, they're already on the screen, but why don't you quickly introduce our amazing guests, please?
Well, like you said, we've had Mr. Sitcov on before. I missed that show. I don't know why.
You were in Maine.
I was probably in Maine with no reception, no cell service, in the middle of the woods, Unfortunately, I did miss that show, so I'm looking forward to this one. And Justine Yildiz, very happy to have you here. I can't wait to hear your story, and you're an inspiration based on what I've read.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. So, real quick for our viewers that didn't catch your show, Jeffrey, in season 4, Doors of Change. Can
Yes.
you explain just briefly, or not so briefly, what is Doors of Change?
Sure. Doors of Change is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that I founded 24 years ago to get homeless youth between the age of 17 and 24, the transitional age youth, off the streets, safe housing and self-sufficiency. And over the last 24 years, we've housed over 2,900 youth in housing and self-sufficiency, and we've given services to 23,000 youth that are homeless in the Southern California area.
Wow.
Bravo. And I know I did that last show, but it still deserves a round of applause. So
So you're mainly in the California area.
Yes,
Doors
we're
of
in
Change.
California.
Okay.
But we've got youth from all over the United States that move here from Detroit, Buffalo, Chicago, everywhere, because it's so cold in the winter. They come to San Diego, and it's great for them to be able to stay outside with better weather, and they can hide in, et cetera. Easier there than other cities like LA, et cetera.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like there's a need for this everywhere anyways.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, there's 4.2 million youth that are homeless in America between 17 and 24.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
My heart just, I was kicked out at 15. Boy, could I have used your services back then, except you and I were both teenagers back then. But when young people are in need of your services, how do they find you?
Well, there's many ways they find us. Number one, we go on the streets to look for the youth. We have outreach, which we've done for many. But we actually have 100 partnerships in San Diego with like-minded agencies that work with homelessness, and they refer to us. Posters all around the city, list service give, and the youth call us. They refer their friends to us when they get results. So that's why we've been extremely the last 24 years.
wow.
Oh, very good.
Just
good.
if I would ever take my hat off for anybody, I'd take my hat off to you, sir.
Well, I'm just the quarterback. We have a tremendous team of caring individuals, staff, and volunteers. Justine is our biggest success stories in 24 years, and she's now a board member, the first former homeless youth that's now a board member with Doors of Change.
Bravo.
Right.
So before we get into Justine's story, I do have a video clip that was sent by the publicist. If you don't mind, I'll play that real quick because Justine is in that video clip, and then we can kind of get into maybe a little bit of her story, if that's okay.
That'd be fantastic.
Okay, so check this out, folks.
The thing that made me leave home when I was 12 that was so bad was my new stepfather. He started to abuse me physically, emotionally, mentally, would call me names, drag me by my hair, hit me, kick me. He was basically torturing me.
On the streets is quite difficult, near impossible to trust people, really, because they were always looking out for themselves. I had to do the same, look out for myself.
The longest time period I didn't eat for was probably like 3 days.
I was chain smoking cigarettes for warmth. I figured the heat from the smoke, would keep me warm for the night.
I slept in a lot of crazy places. I would sleep on park benches in parks. I slept on the beach a lot. I eventually had a tent. Well, there was one night I slept in a dumpster on top of a piece of cardboard. Thankfully, it wasn't trash day.
I was able to sleep in front of anybody, no matter what. It was like, hey, if they kill me, they kill me. If they would try to rob me, they rob me. It's like, that's just what it was.
I would perform in the streets to get some money. I would just do tricks with a soccer ball.
The toughest thing about being homeless is the loss of hope and trying to hold on to that.
I first heard of Doors of Change through outreach. Jeff was walking around doing outreach.
We're going on outreach, which we've done now for 18 years, twice a week, trying to find homeless kids between the age primarily of 16 to 25. When we find them, we ask them if they'd like to come to a music and arts program. They get free music lessons, free art, free dinners, free food, free clothes, case management, whatever they would like. We've seen now over 7,300 visits now in 6 years.
The staff of Doors of Change are kind. They're always in a great mood. They're always asking to help anyway. It's really nice. It feels like a family.
Doors of Change has helped me because I was homeless at 17 because my biological dad got involved and he punched me in the face repeatedly. And now I'm about to graduate from college, computer engineering. Homeless, degree. Pretty clear line.
It's really important that people that are able to donate to Doors of Change can provide the financial support that we need to continue to provide opportunities for these kids, whether it be music instruments, referrals, life skills, anything that they need help with. They need a lot of support, and even if it's just $5, I mean, really anything can help these kids. And the bigger the donation, the more children are going to end up with opportunities like me that they can make something of themselves and make an impact in this world. And that's why it's so important that we have donors. They really make the whole organization run.
Wow. Right. So I know the video is a little older because you had just started law school when that video was released, but you just graduated, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I graduated last year. Actually,
Well,
technically 2 years ago. Yeah.
okay, it's fine. Burst my bubble. So you are just one of many success stories from this organization. Can you kind of tell us how did it change your life? I mean, we know you graduated with a law degree and stuff, but from the transition from homelessness because of, your backstory into Doors of Change and now with a degree in law. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, so I was definitely at the end of my rope. When I first met Jeffrey, I was dealing with a lot of difficult situations. Obviously, I was on the street. It's really hard to avoid bad people when you're on the street. So getting involved, with stuff I didn't really want to be involved in. And I was running from the law, and it was kind of a big mess. And a police officer decided that he wanted to help me. So he actually took me to a shelter that had programs that were funded by Doors of Change. So I got to be with other youth that were like me. So there was a bit of a kinship in that. But also there was music and art programs. I got access to mental health services. I was enrolled back in school, and they helped me get a job. So I started working. I started saving money. And it really gave me more of a purpose and hope. Like hope is one of the biggest things. Trust and hope is, at the time when I came into the shelter, I didn't feel like I could trust anybody, because that was my lived experience, is that, most people that say they want to help you want something from you. They want to take advantage of you. And that wasn't really the case with the staff, and with Jeffrey and everyone. I mean, I didn't even trust Jeffrey at first. I said, who's this guy? He's talking about housing and taking care of us and all this stuff. And, he's full of it. But no, he actually wasn't. Like, he's the real deal. And, having that experience really gave me a lot of ideas and made me realize that I did have a future, that I could do anything I wanted to do. And I ended up pursuing law after graduating with a couple of degrees. I actually have 5 degrees total, including my Juris Doctorate. I kind of got addicted to school when I found out that if you got good grades, that they would pay for stuff. So I got a free ride at UCSB. And the only student loans I had to take out was actually for law school. And even that was minimal. And it was because I worked really hard. But had I not had that foundation, I can't imagine where I would be now. I definitely wouldn't be in the position that I am. Who knows? But I don't think I would have graduated law school without all the help I received from Doors of Change.
Wow.
It sounds like it's difficult to actually earn the trust of some of these kids. That's got to be one of the hardest things, because without that, you can't move forward.
You're absolutely right. It's the one barrier that if we can't, gain trust, they're not going to ask for help. We're experts in gaining trust extremely quickly. We have 24/7 coverage. So if someone calls 2 in the morning, we pick up the phone. We're one of the only organizations in San Diego that does that. And that, when you have an immediacy and you actually say, wow, maybe they do want to help me. And we come through their word very quickly, because you got one chance on. So you have to gain their trust very quickly. That's what we do. And, that's the key is if they trust you, they want to get off the streets. It's very important to understand why. The misconception is that, they want to get away from their parents. They want to have autonomy. That's maybe 2% of the kids. 98% of the youth come from such dysfunctional families. Their parents are alcoholic, mentally ill, they're drug. Of the 4.2 million kids have that, but 40% of the youth are LGBTQ plus kids that come out to their parents that they're gay, and literally within an hour, their parents 24 years.
Wow. Okay.
I'm being quiet because I'm feeling very emotional about this. Both my own personal background, and I've been on the board of directors for a minor consideration for almost 30 years, more, helping former and current child actors not fall into the same kind of a pit, and how many of them are LGBTQ youth who seem to be even at more of a disadvantage than other folks. Not that there's a contest of who has the worst.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a dumb question because I'm angry.
No question is dumb.
Why is your organization needed? What is wrong with how our society looks at youth, that getting this kind of help just isn't automatic? That a kid just can't raise their hand and say, I got a problem at home, help me, and they get the help. Speak to that, please.
Justine, why don't you address that first, and then I'll address it after that.
Justine.
She's like, huh?
Sorry. Yeah, no, the video's cutting out. I don't know if it's my reception. So I understand you were asking kind of why these services are needed.
I guess I'm asking why isn't the government? Yeah, go ahead.
So there's a lot of societal issues that have created this. Drugs and alcohol are a huge factor. Toxic family cycles are a huge factor. because generally, and I'm not saying this across the board, but the research shows that if you were abused as a child, you'll have to break the cycle if you don't want to in turn abuse your own children, because you don't have the background to know what a healthy, happy family looks like. And now what we're seeing is, the cycle kind of has continued. And for people like me, we want to break the cycle. We want to get out of these abusive homes. We want to get away from, these drugs and alcohol and crime. A lot of youth that I met on the streets, their parents are in jail and they didn't want to go into foster care, because foster care can also be really bad, that some of us would prefer to be independent living on the street than to be at the mercy of people that might just see you as a paycheck. So I think it's a very complicated issue, and there's a lot of reasons. And wealth disparity is parents that are really poor living in cities like San Diego might struggle with housing themselves, and there will be a whole family, living in a car. So there's a lot of things that contribute. So there isn't like one big Band-Aid that we could put on this to fix it. And that's why Doors of Change is so important, because we don't provide a specific service. We meet people where they are with what they need in the immediate moment. And because people have all sorts of needs. Maybe they need food, maybe they need clothes to do a job interview. Car repairs has been a really successful area that we've been focusing on, because if you're homeless but you have a car, you're one step away from getting off of the streets and not living in your car, because you already have transportation to get you to a job. So meeting people where they are in that way kind of helps fix those problems from different angles, because everyone's situation is different.
Yeah. And there's
Well said.
a great question that you asked. Just so you know, the transitional age kids from 17 to 24 nationally are the most underserved, the entire homeless population, the most underserved. And why is that? Because they think, they're adults, they're 18, they're 19, they're 20, they can take care of themselves. However, because they come from such dysfunctional families, their parents had never taught them what to do. So these kids have no idea. The question is that if you help and give a hand up to this age group, 17 to 24, they have the highest rate of break. Why? Because they haven't been homeless that long. They're not that mentally ill. They don't have that much. First, people that are 30, 40 years old. That's why they have the highest rate of breaking the cycle. So when you help this age, you're getting your biggest bang for the buck of actually getting the result of decreasing homelessness by helping this age group.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm sorry. I'm just so filled with emotion and rage right now, because I've been through this myself. And I can't imagine how different my life would have been if I would have had an organization to go to and to teach some life skills. I was alone and I didn't know how do you get an apartment? How do you turn on electricity? How do you get a driver's license? How do you get a social security? I wasn't prepared for any of that. And, and I fall into the LGBT thing where I was on the street because I was gay and family didn't want. And I know my story, you repeat that a couple of million times, happens every year to people. And to answer my own question, there were a lot of people who knew me, who knew I was no longer at home, but nobody ever offered a sandwich. And this happens to young people all the time. And I don't know why society feels that a 16, 17, 18, 19, or a 22-year-old even has the skill set, has the maturity to know how to take care of themselves without a helping hand. And that's why I asked the original question, why isn't there more help for people like I was, for people like Justine was? And I'm just so grateful that you are there.
We were very blessed to just get a 4-year grant from the San Diego Foundation. They're the largest foundation in San Diego. It's $1 billion foundation. And they selected Doors of Change and Urban League, the two organizations, to partner with each other to go into high schools and colleges to offer scholarships for trade school. and for college. That's a game changer, because if a kid can be in trade school, they can be a barber, they can be a mechanic, they can be culinary arts, carpentry, all different types of trades. They get actually certification, and they can make money and be self-sufficient. That's the goal that we have. Their biggest goal is off the streets and housing, but be self-sufficient. You can be role models for others and be productive citizens. And that's what the 4-year grant we just got, it's going to help us, that last piece of the puzzle that we need. It's a wonderful game changer.
Wow.
Now,
Well,
do you,
God bless the Urban League for that.
I'm sure you do run into it, but I'm curious as to the percentage of these kids that just have such a wall up that they're not receptive to it at all. I mean, they've got to be out there, I'm sure. I was one.
We find that, again, it's all about trust. In the last 3 years alone, we've housed 805 youth in 3 years only, because we gained trust very quickly with them. We have in-depth case management services. Turquoise, Angel, Justine, Nicole, they're phenomenal. And they actually create trust very quickly with these youth and get them the services to be self-sufficient, to get housing, to get mental health, to get health insurance, to get whatever they need to be able to get jobs and maintain jobs. They teach them all that. So our homeless youth advocacy program, which came out of COVID, by the way, because the thing that you saw with the music, we have not done music now for 5 years because of COVID. Shut it down. But what we're doing now, we're helping 3 times the amount of youth get housing with our homeless advocacy program that we ever did with our music and arts program. And as much as it was successful, our homeless youth advocacy program is 3 times as successful at getting the end result of getting these kids off the streets and housing.
Wow.
That's just wonderful.
So you mentioned your staff gaining trust, and Justine being one of them. So my question is for Justine: do you think because you went through the homelessness and the program, that it's easier for you to gain the trust of others like you, or are you finding the same hurdles that Jeffrey would find, where it's really tough to gain trust?
It definitely depends on the youth, but overall, if they just saw me and had no idea about my backstory, they probably wouldn't trust me any more than any other person. But when they've seen any of the videos of me, or me speaking somewhere, and they know who I am, what I've been through, it's a lot easier to have that rapport and gain their trust, because I know exactly what they're going through firsthand. And everyone's struggle may be different, because there's a lot of intersectionality that goes into it too. And I still experienced some privileges as a homeless youth, just because I was a blonde girl. And I hate to say that, so they can't always identify with it, but I think overall it's really easy for me also to be able to code switch and go from the way that I speak professionally to street lingo. And I find that, having that common ground, it's a lot easier for me to gain trust and, get more information from them about what they're going through as well, because they know that I would understand.
Wow. You are amazing. And I mean that, and I mean that in the biggest regard, because your backstory to where you are now, to what you're doing to help others like that, you're just an amazing person.
I think we all agree on that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Didn't I hear you guys have an upcoming show or something?
Yes, we have a concert of hope every year. And if anybody that hears this, number one, is in Southern California, or you can get to San Diego on September 6th, it's the Saturday after Labor Day. We have a concert of hope once a year. It is absolutely phenomenal. Justine, several homeless youth speak at the concert. We're going to have the National Rolling Stones tribute band, Jumping Jack Flash, is headlining. We have the Whitney Shea Band. They're a blues award-winning group, going to be opening the show. But the key is the youth that speak at the event is the highlight of everything. And they will speak and they blow people's minds. And Justine has been so gracious to go on many interviews with me over the years, because these kids want to give back and help others. And if someone is looking at this and they say, I had no idea of this severity, what do I do to help? If you're touched and if you don't take action, it doesn't mean a damn thing. But if you're touched and you take action, go to our website, doorsofchange.org, doors plural, doorsofchange.org. Look at some of the videos. We have an angel team that we formed that we trademarked the name Angel Team from the California Angels. They gave us, we're one of the only ones ever they've given permission to trademark that name. And it has to do with homeless kids only. So 100% of $18 a month or $20 a month or $50 a month or $100 a month will go to actually fund our homeless youth advocacy program so we can get case management. We can get the resources to these youth that need it. But this is the way that someone say, something, I can afford $18 a month. So whatever you can afford, if you say, I only have $10, we'll take anything because we need the money to have the staff that are going to get the results with the kids that we're getting. And we appreciate it because, again, if you get these kids off the streets, they become role models. Justine is one of the biggest role models we've ever had in 24 years. She walks the walk. You know what I mean? And people get hope. The community gets hope, but the homeless kids get hope that, hey, I can do what Justine did with hard work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you ever need a sparkly jazz singer to come perform for you to raise money, I'm your guy. Happily volunteer for you.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, he's actually, Jeffrey's actually had Lucy Arnaz involved in the Doors of Change, Mr. Mark, a friend of yours.
Yes, very well. I'm seeing Lucy Saturday night. So, yes.
Well, we love Lucy, and Lucy has been an angel. Anson Williams has been an angel. They come and do interviews with me because they both get it. And thank God that they donate their time, just like Justine, to get the word out. Because if we can educate people about the homeless youth issue, 98% of the time they say, I had no idea the severity that there's 4.2 million kids in the country that are homeless. And I want to help. So that's why by making a donation, you're taking an action. You're being part of the solution. Come to the concert. It's only $44 for lawn tickets. It's $65 for regular seats. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but you'll hear kids speak that'll blow your mind. And the youth that are actually in the audience, we're going to have many homeless youth in the audience. When they say 1,500 people there to support them, it's life-changing for them.
Right.
Absolutely.
And just real quick to our viewers and our listeners, if you missed the website, just check the show notes up above or down below, because doorsofchange.org is the number one in that, along with some of the stories that were also sent to us that I didn't have time to upload and play.
By the way, we went on sale 2 days ago. So get tickets now for the come up and say, I heard you guys in the interview. I want to take action and be there. We would love to have you there. You will be blown away if you come to this event.
Wow.
And just for anyone who didn't hear, this is in San Diego.
Yes.
What is the date again, sir?
It's going to be September 6th. The UCSD, one of our universities, at the Epstein Family Amphitheater. It's an outdoor amphitheater. We'll have 1,500 people there, and it's actually on the campus of UCSD. And it's going to be phenomenal on September 6th, this Saturday after Labor Day. Doorsofchange.org. You can get tickets now. Get them while they go on. They just went on sale. You get good seats.
So basically, folks, if you're in the San Diego areas, get the tickets. There's no excuse. There's no
Or
excuse.
if you're looking for a vacation, go out to San Diego and get involved with this.
Well, hell, I'll go even one better than that. If you can't get to San Diego, buy a set of tickets and donate them back.
Right.
Just make a donation of any amount. People think it's hard to trust today to know really who to give your donations to. We've been around 24 years. We've helped 23,000 homeless kids, 2,900 get housing. We've been established. So your donation will definitely save lives. We appreciate it. And we appreciate you guys letting us come on and do this interview, because it's helping people realize that this is a severe issue in our country. If we don't handle the youth, we'll never get rid of homelessness.
Nope, you're absolutely right. And I will say, like I said earlier, we had Mr. Sitcov on in season 4 to talk about this because it was something that we felt had to be talked about. And he is only one of 3 guests in 6 seasons to come back a second time. So that tells you that this is something that needs to be addressed.
I think the problem is it's a much bigger issue than most people even realize when you if you look across the country. So my question is that how do we get Doors of Change in other cities? I mean, how do we do that?
We asked this on a different show, but go ahead.
Actually, I've mentored Buffalo, New York, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., and Chicago, Illinois. I've actually mentored, organizations in those communities. We had a national walk about 10 years ago. We had several cities involved in it. And there's many great organizations in the country for transitional age kids, in your community usually, because there's so many homeless kids everywhere today in America. Help the organization, your community, but you give to us because we have kids from all over the United States that come here. You're helping make a difference in this world.
Yeah, and they all migrate to California because, like you said, it is warm. So being homeless in California, sleeping on the streets, you could sleep on the streets year round. Not that it is safe, but versus like, Jeff and I are south of Boston, Massachusetts. I mean, you sleep on the streets in the winter, you could wake up with a foot of snow on top of you.
Yeah.
Literally. Or freeze to
death. Right.
So you're correct. I think the homeless migration to the California area is for the warmer weather. But you're in a great spot. No, I shouldn't say it that way. You're not in a great spot, but you're in the right spot.
San Diego is beautiful. It really is.
So,
Jeffrey,
no, go ahead.
Just for those whom are listening and watching us, who might, again, forgive me for being a subset of a subset, who might be LGBT youth, just so they can hear it from your lips, you're welcoming, you're open, and there are people they can relate to within the program to help them so that they can trust too.
Justin, because again, you've seen it firsthand, but we don't judge people. We're open. We accept anybody. We love them. We're there for them, and we never push people because they're going to have to come along and their pace. But by doing that and being open and being loving and being trustworthy, they will come and continue to ask for help. Justine, can you give an example?
Well, I have a lot of friends that went through the program that were LGBTQ, and a lot of them had expressed this was the first time I truly felt accepted, that they felt that they had a community of people around them that were okay with however they wanted to identify themselves. And I think it's really beautiful. I mean, even when I was on the streets before the program, a lot of people that did show up for me were in the LGBTQ community. There's actually housing development that had a little bit of overlap with some of the other shelters for youth. And they were also some of the most loving and accepting people, and they deserve that in return. And, Doors of Change is the door's open for anybody. It doesn't matter who you are, how you feel, who you love, all are welcome.
Now, I want to ask, do you think that over the last couple of decades that people in society have just become too judgmental, and that's part of the problem? They're not accepting as they used to be? Is that a weird way to put that question?
I think people have gotten kind of, numb because they see so many people on the streets. You never hear of homeless kids usually. You hear about the vets, the adults, the families, but you rarely ever hear about the youth. But the youth are there also. And so, I think that's why the biggest thing we can do is educate people about the homeless youth issue. And they say, God, I didn't have any idea. I want to help. So the key is now taking the step, the action to go from I want to help to helping. Because if we have 1,000 people join our angel team for $18 a month, it's auto pay out of their check. Only $18. It could be more if you want, but we'll be able to raise enough money to go on for another 20 years. If 1,000 people give us $18 a month, that'll allow us to continue for another 20 years.
Wow.
Impressive.
Do you ever have trouble convincing the youth in need that they're worthy of receiving the help. Because I know personally and from other people, they don't feel they're worthy. They don't feel like, don't waste your money on me, I'm not worth it, because they come from a place where they felt no worth. And I can remember my trust issues. If my own family doesn't value me, why would anybody else? Can either of you speak to that? Justine, go first.
I saw Justine's greatness there months before she even realized it. You know what I mean? We see it in them before they see it in themselves. When they've been told they're a piece of garbage, not going to be anything, especially now politically, that LGBTQ, you're not worth anything. You know, that's terrible to go through that. So we are so loving to them. We're open, non-judgmental. We're a safe respite for these youth, for any homeless youth, but now especially for the LGBTQ, because they're getting hammered more than any other group.
Oh.
It's so difficult to break through what we who have been through this kind of thing, the barriers we put up of self-protection, but also that keeps the help out too.
Yeah.
Do you have people who are educated in psychology, et cetera, helping you specifically? Or is this all seat of the pants, people with a great heart who want to help?
Well, that's a good question. We actually, all of our staff have expertise in trauma-informed care. They have to. On the streets, such abuse in their house, they're not typical youth. You cannot treat them like normal kids. So all of our staff are really trained in trauma-informed care. So, and we also have a lot of mental health partners that we can refer to, because mental health is a huge part of this. If someone doesn't feel good about themselves, if they've had so much trauma, if they don't get mental assistance, they're not going to succeed long term, possibly.
Right.
So when we have the referrals that we refer in the last 3 years, we had 435 referrals for mental health. That's quite a few, but you take the mental health, they see psychiatrists, they get them meds if they need to, they see psychologists, MFCCs, MSW specialists, and that know how to deal with and have expertise and license and working with these youth, and they get such great results. Justine, can you share about that?
Yeah, so obviously I experienced the same as a lot of these youth. So when I was in the program, when I first was taken in, I was on suicide watch for a very long amount of time. And I was able to see a therapist that had training specifically in post-traumatic stress disorder, because I did have very severe PTSD coming off of the streets. And it took 10 years of me seeing her once a week to get to a place where I was able to overcome most of that. And a lot of these youth feel like mental health services are out of their reach, but they're not. And that's one of the best things of Doors of Change, is once you get your mental health situated, and you're in a better place, it's a lot easier to ask for help. It's a lot easier to help yourself. It's a lot easier for you to do the things that you need to do on a day-to-day to progress your life and to, reach your goals. So without the mental health services, it's going to be hard for them to break out of that cycle.
And
Absolutely.
I'm sure that a lot of these kids have this pent-up anger too, that you have to deal with.
Oh,
I'm
gosh,
sure
yes.
that buried anger. That's what I remember. So that's something that's very difficult to try and deal with as well. So I'm curious as to, when somebody gets very angry with you, even though you're trying to help, do you have a certain way that you handle a situation like that?
Well, we diffuse it, number one, but we accept for what, they're going through this. Let them speak. Listen. Listening is a powerful thing. Let them speak and yell and do whatever they have to do to get it out. Go for help. Offer. I think that you see someone, they could really help you with this issue, and you can get this out, and you'll be so much better off because of it. And they listen to the case managers. I mean, Nicole, Turquoise, Angel, these guys, youth, they're amazing case managers that get along so well with the youth, and the youth trust them. So if they say, okay, I'll try it. And it helps so many youth by having them go and get the help that they need. And I mean, I'll tell you, we're so proud of Justine. She is just truly, she takes all the excuses and throws it, still gonna say all the garbage, all the thing, what if, I can't. She's proven everybody wrong, and she's a role model for others. And so proud of who she is as a person, and that's why we asked her to be on our board of directors.
And rightfully so.
Right. Like I said, she's an amazing person. I don't know her personally, but just from her story,
oh, yeah,
you can see,
very rare.
Justine, just from your face, there's so much going on there. And I mean this as a compliment. You can almost see what you're thinking because your face is, I guess you've had to learn how to open up. And I just looking at you, I feel good.
Thanks.
Let me take a devil's advocate, just in case anybody out there is being, oh, these guys aren't for real. Do you get any kind of pushback? Obviously, if you're helping people the lower end of the age bracket, you are helping people who are not legally adults. Do you ever get pushback about helping people who are legally minors?
Well, the young kids from 12 to 17, we refer them to, it's called Storefront Shelter. It's the only homeless shelter in San Diego for kids under 18. But the 17, and many of them, legally now are adults. They do the process, what they have to do to become adults. But we always refer them where we have to. And especially the younger kids, we always refer them to Storefront because that's who they specialize with, 12 to 17-year-olds.
Okay.
All right.
Just for the naysayers out there, I wanted to hear it from you because, again, I think as a society, we've gotten so cynical that I wanted to come from you to explain that, don't think there's any shenanigans. Don't think, Mr. Sitcov is not becoming a multimillionaire from your donations. He's the real thing, and he's really helping people. And just look at what your organization can do just by Justine and all the other success stories you've had.
Right.
You're
And
obviously doing the right things.
Right. And like I said before, folks, you can check the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. Doorsofchange.org is the number one. That's where you can go. But there are other links under there that will take you to other success stories besides Justine's. So
they watched is an older video. We have the new video on our website. We've got several other videos of interviews and stuff that they can go and watch. Wow, here's another kid. Here's another kid. Here's another kid.
Right.
And then they'll say, something? Okay, I want to help them. Because again, but Justine is the most important part. When you see the success stories, that's Justine and several other hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of youth that we've worked with over the years that are success stories. And, they become the role models for others.
Right. So
I want to add this, see if I can phrase this properly.
Probably not.
From a personal, in your heart, do you sometimes feel like you're shoveling shit against the tide because it's constant? There's a second part to this, but I'm curious as to how you would answer that.
Truthfully, I have seen so many successes just in a kid like Justine that would not even talk to me for 2 months. She wouldn't even look at me for 2 months. And now where she is, so you just know from the successes we've had, it just takes time for these kids to be adjusted, to be able to want to get help. Some of them want to get help immediately. Some might take 2 months, some might take 6 months. But because we've helped thousands and thousands of kids over the last 24 years, there's not a question in my mind. You just do the right thing, and they will come because they they'll see that you are the real deal and that it's trustworthy and that, we get the results with them because they want to help themselves.
The reason I asked that is, this whole thing kind of. Did you ever hear the story of the old man, the boy, and the starfish?
Sure.
That's kind of how I see this whole program. It makes a difference to this one. So you start with that one, and you just keep on doing it.
Correct.
As opposed to looking at the whole thing. It is a giant problem. Don't undertake the entire problem. One at a time. One at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Individuals, all tremendous individuals. Everybody's different. Everybody's got a different story. They have different needs. But when you're there to help them, and they will very quickly realize that, they ask for help. They say, I want to go for housing. I want to get a job. I want to get, whatever they need, mental health. I want to get health insurance. I want to get whatever they need. And so I'm just appreciative of Justine for coming on and taking time out of her busy schedule. This is the real deal because I've gone through it.
Yeah. Yep. And literally, folks, if you watch her story more in depth, she literally went through just about every phase that you could possibly think of, or every reason that you could think of to be homeless. And to see her now as such a great success through this program tells you that
it works.
It works if you let it. You've got to be receptive to it.
Jeffrey, are you ever, just off the top of my head, given access to ever go into schools or anywhere to get the kids right before they become homeless? Sure. To say, hey, before you end up on the streets, come to us.
That's a great question. I and myself and Justine and Joanne and Turquoise, many of us go and do a lot of high schools, colleges, all over the place. Rotary, everywhere we can go, speak to get the word out. That's how we get known, and that's how we get donations. That's how we find you.
Because I tell you, your program could sure be used in the Coachella Valley where Palm Springs and the other cities sit. Because youth out here have there's just nothing going on unless they got the gumption to apply for things. But younger people who don't even know that there is such a thing as applying for help, boy, could we use your program here.
I would Google, because I guarantee there's organizations that are close to your area that work with homeless people and just help them. And there's so many good organizations in this country. I mean, 4.5 million, 4.2 million kids are homeless. There better be a lot of organizations helping them. And that's why, there are, because there's so much for this.
Right. Wow.
Justine, you're being a little quiet, Justine. Do you feel comfortable, just to get you to talk a little bit, either speaking to one not so nice thing that happened with you before you got in with Doors of Change, or one really cool thing that's happened since you've gotten him? I mean, other than getting your degrees.
I mean, to stay on maybe the more positive side of things, I have gotten so many opportunities. I've met so many incredible people. I've been able to speak at so many incredible places. One of the best, I think, is when I gave a TED Talk at UCSB back in 2018. I gave a talk called Kindness from Strangers, where I told my story, but I framed it in a way where it showed how these insignificant to you acts of kindness to somebody that might be in a difficult position can really impact them. Because it did, because I had people that would do very small things like getting me food that were so kind, that gave me value and, some self-worth that I otherwise didn't have. So speaking and telling that speech on the big stage and being able to say that I gave a TED Talk was probably one of the most incredible things that's happened for me personally, because now, you know, and I meet people, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a TEDx speaker.
How did you get past the nervousness when you first started, or if you want to talk about the TED experience specifically? But I know a lot of people when they first start public speaking get really nervous. And you're a shy woman. How did you get past the shyness and the nervousness to be the excellent speaker that you are?
Why do you say that I'm shy?
Yeah.
I have to compete with get the mic with Jeffrey over here. So no, I've never been very shy. I've always been very outspoken, and it's one of the reasons I was able to survive a lot of the situations I did when I was on the streets, because I was always louder than the person that was trying to do something to me. So I've never really been that shy. I have no problem going in front of people and speaking. The thing for me is I do like to speak on my own terms. So I'm a little more comfortable telling my own story. It's very upsetting to have someone else tell my story for me because they usually get it wrong. So that would be my only problem. If it's me personally speaking, it's great. But if it's someone else speaking on my behalf, I really don't like it.
Well, I'm good. I didn't tell you a story then.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm very glad I didn't tell
note
it.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, completely understandable. Absolutely.
Well, nobody knows your story better than you. That's just with anybody.
Yeah. Thank you.
And that you've been motivated to share your story is so important. Because I've done a little bit of trying to help young people through the years, and to get them to open up and to get them to tell what really happened, not a sanitized version or what they think you want to hear, as opposed to, okay, this is what it was. My hat is off that you were able to do it and do it so well, and that you're today, and whenever anyone's watching this, or what you do in life, are inspiring so many other people.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard not to love you, Justine, for what you do.
Right.
Thank you.
So we are getting close on time. So I'm going to say, Mr. Jeffrey Mark, do you have any last questions for these two amazing guests?
I'm not going to ask a question. I'm going to ask our viewers, our friends, our fans out there, $1, $5, $10. I'm not good at fundraising. Because I'm not a salesman. I've never been good at that, but I'm great at speaking from my heart. And I've been one of these people, and I didn't get the help because it wasn't there. No one else should have to go through what I went through or what Justine went through, because there is help. Give a penny, give $1, give $10, give every month, give once a year, skip a pedicure. But please help out so that our youth out there will all survive and thrive. That's what I got to say.
Bravo. And you're right. I mean, the youth are important because, let's be realistic, us three here on the top, we're not getting any younger.
As much as there isn't enough hair dye in the world to get me to actually be younger. So
I'm not even worried about the hair dye anymore. But they're the future of everything.
Yep.
And when we're gone, things need to continue, because this is a problem that's gone on for far too long, but I really don't see an actual end in sight, because I think for every one or two that you can actually help, there's 4 or 5 more the next day. It's a repetitive cycle that's unfortunate, and I don't know how we can break that. But Jeff, any last questions for
I'm going to do the same thing that Mr. Mark just did.
Okay.
If you're out there and you're walking, and I don't care if you're walking your dog, going for a stroll, walking through the park, if you see somebody that may need help, may need assistance, or just needs to hear a good, kind word, do it. It's not going to hurt you. You might save somebody. with a simple hello. How can I help you?
100%. 100%. I have a niece who has a very young daughter. We have, homeless here in Plymouth, Massachusetts. I mean, it's in every town, everywhere. Two seasons ago, she went and bought a ton of hats and gloves because the winters are cold and all kinds of stuff, and she put them under the Christmas tree in the center of town for all the homeless. This was a 9-year-old. So the impact that organizations like Doors of Change have on the youth, and hopefully some adults that are watching, you know who you are. You all know who you are. Like Jeff and Jeffrey said, just kindness. It goes a long way. It really does. So, again, Concert for Hope, September 6th, correct?
Yep, go to doorsofchange.org and get all the information and get tickets right on our website.
So if you're in that area, folks, get tickets. I mean, have a good time. Listen to some keynote speakers, Justine being one of them. Diamond in the rough, amazing success story, but only one of thousands of success stories, correct?
Correct.
All right. So, Jeffrey, usually I say, where can your friends or your fans interact with you? And we all know it's doorsofchange.org. So any last not questions, but comments or any last whatever you want to say?
I just want to say I appreciate that you allowing us to come and speak about this. I appreciate people listening to this, but I hope and pray that they're touched enough to take action, because if they don't take action, it doesn't mean a damn thing. You have to take action to get a different result and to help others. And I really appreciate any amount that you can donate would be appreciated. And if you can get on the Angel team, do $18 a month or more, that would be incredible. You won't even know what's going out of your paycheck, and you're saving kids' lives. And again, doorsofchange.org. Come up to us and say, I heard you on the interview. I've taken action. I'm here. We would love to have that. You'll meet Justine will be there selling her jewelry. And we appreciate your help.
Ooh, selling jewelry. I didn't know you made jewelry. We didn't even get into that. How did I not know that?
Yes, I do have a jewelry business.
Wow.
Jeffrey
Excellent.
Mark like jewelry.
Yes, we know Jeffrey Mark like jewelry.
Wow.
So same thing for you, Justine. Usually I say, to our guests, where can your friends or fans or blah, blah, interact with you? But we already know that doorsofchange.org is where they need to go. Any last remarks that you'd like to
I
add?
think if anybody, there's a lot of kids out there that are still going through what I had to go through to get to where I am. And if you would like to see more of those kids overcome all the obstacles like I did, the best way is to get involved. Just like Jeffrey said, become part of our Angel team, come to the concert. If you're in San Diego, you can also volunteer with us. There's a lot of events that we're putting on this year aside from the Concert of Hope. And, even we have events at Crack Shack in Little Italy, where all you do is buy some food and drinks, and some of the money will go back to the program. So just find a way to get involved. If you want to see more people like me make something of themselves and do something with their lives and gain their self-esteem, please get involved.
Well said. Well said. So I'm not even going to go single pane tonight because, I messed it up right off the get-go. We're going to just stay like this. Mr. Jeffrey Mark, where do you like interacting with your fans and your friends?
Jeffrey Mark, you see my name, how it's spelled on Facebook, Jeffrey Mark Show Business on Instagram, and I answer everybody. So please reach out and let us know how we're doing. And I have another podcast every week, Jeffrey Mark Plays Ella. It's on some of the same platforms you'll find this show. And if you like jazz and Ella, I'll tell you some insider stories while I play her music. And we'll make it closer to my newest books coming out. I'll publicize it. But really this week, spend your money. Spend your money on Doors of Change. Please, please, please.
Yep. That's
Mr.
exactly what I was going to say right there.
Mr. Holman.
You know where to find us. You know our website. Forget about that this week and go to doorsofchange.org.
Agreed. 100%. I'm not even going to reiterate that. There is no reason to. So I do want to thank Jeffrey and Justine for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on, talk about Doors of Change, hopefully open some eyes, if not during this live show, but maybe during the rebroadcast that somebody watches or the podcast when it goes out this weekend. And hopefully people will start to donate, even if it's a little bit, to Doors of Change. You know, I'm sure on the website, just follow doorsofchange.org, folks. Their events, I'm sure, are up there. So if you can't make it to the Concert of Hope, the next event they have, I would assume it would be up there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if you follow doorsofchange.org, folks, you'll be able to see all the events that they're doing. So if you can't make it to one, maybe you can make it to one of the other ones. But if you can make it to the September 6th, you'll get to hear Justine speak. I'm just saying. You know,
Well, I want to say that the two of you are not just an inspiration, you're a blessing.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely thank you.
Thank you.
Doubly and triply ditto.
So, you know, to all our veterans and first responders, we want to thank you for doing what you do. So like people like us can come up here and do what we do. See, I got a little choked up there at the end. Just a little bit.
Me too.
Stay safe. Remember, doorsofchange.org. And we'll see you next week.
God bless. Have a happy.
Thank you very much.